cái tua dùng chỉ tàu này tao non đây nè
điกับตัวของเป็นของเราcaoตัวของเราtiên cho tiên tàu mua tàu mua trả một của cái mua trả đi thái bên phần bị thái yên phần bị yêu kinh.
Speak. So we will see if we continue along that path. Good evening, everyone. My name is Angie Craig. I'm the Congresswoman from the 2nd District of Minnesota, and I am now running to be your next U.S. Senator. Before I get started, I just want to take a personal privilege to thank Representative and now St. Paul Mayor-elect Hallie Herr for her personal invitation to attend this night's events, and thank you so much for your support in my U.S. Senate race. I'm incredibly honored to be here with all of you this evening. I've had the pleasure to work with Chong Pao Lee Family Farm in the 2nd Congressional District, and I'm here to celebrate the strength and resilience of the Hmong community and the contributions that you have made to the great state of Minnesota. And as I look around the room, I'm reminded just how far the Hmong community has come, how much joy and talent and energy the community brings to this nation. I'm also reminded of your story, one of perseverance, resilience, of rebuilding and overcoming challenges. You are now deeply a part of Minnesota's story. And that is what has moved our state forward in so many ways. From the Twin Cities to Greater Minnesota, the Hmong community has helped shape the cultural, economic, and civic life across Minnesota. Our businesses, our schools, our hospitals, our government offices are better because Hmong entrepreneurs, educators, public servants, and leaders. From starting thriving businesses to electing the first Hmong American lawmakers in the country, right here in Minnesota, every contribution has been important. But more important than the achievements is the sense of community, the belief that better is possible, and the dedication to fight for the next generation. That spirit of unity and dedication is what makes every part of Minnesota stronger and more compassionate. So I want to thank you for enriching our state with your culture, your voice, and your leadership. My promise to you is to work to ensure that prosperity and hope remains for the next generation of Hmong Americans. Thank you so much.
My name is Peggy Flanagan. My Ojibwe name, or my native name, is Speaks in a Loud and Clear Voice Woman. I'm a member of the wider nation. My family is the Wolf Clan, and the role of our clan is to ensure that we're never leaving anyone behind, which is why I'm so honored to be here with you tonight. I look around and I see Minnesota. Thank you to the Hmong Committee 100. I'm so grateful that you put together this gala because it's an inspiration to take an important moment to mark and to celebrate loss, prosperity, and hope. Coming to Minnesota 50 years ago wasn't necessarily a choice for many of your ancestors and relatives, but the state is better off because of it. Tonight, we are in a room filled with multiple generations of Hmong neighbors, where many here have only ever called Minnesota home. So as a representative of the great state of Minnesota, let me start by saying thank you for the honor of calling you my neighbor. There is no Minnesota without the Hmong community. This room is filled with resilience and perseverance, leadership and strength, and so we celebrate tonight. This is also a night to carry with us the names of our ancestors who made all of this possible. Ancestors who had never believed that a young girl in a refugee camp would grow up to become the mayor of the state's second largest city, the capital city. Mayor-elect, congratulations. Ancestors who might never imagine that there would be so many Hmong people elected to this new land system of government, that they could successfully lead the effort to get important veteran status to those who fought alongside the U.S. in special guerrilla units or irregular forces. And ancestors who fought so hard to provide for their families, often in backbreaking jobs, that they might never have thought that there'd be a celebration to honor those who've achieved great things in the military, in education, in the law, medicine, business, and politics that we are doing here tonight. And yet I think it's likely that many of these ancestors absolutely dreamed of these achievements. This room is built on the dreams of our elders, our ancestors, and veterans. And I join you tonight and thank you for dreaming big.
For Mayor-elect Gala.
Allowing me a couple of minutes to speak today. The title of Mayor-elect and State Representative are titles, but I'm actually and I think that a lot of times people don't realize that my husband is actually really accomplished and really successful, and if it wasn't for him, I couldn't do this. He's actually a vice president at a bank. And
my name is Serena Lunciva, and I am the Vice President of Investments for our family of companies, which includes Lake Country Community Bank, JB Bank, and Legacy Funeral Home.
I want to say there have been many, many difficult days over the last 50 years, along with some good days for our community. Yet here we are today, leaders, educators, entrepreneurs, athletes, advocates, proof that resilience can turn hardship into triumph. When we compare our present realities to when our people first arrived in this country, there is indeed so much to celebrate. To understand our progress, we must understand and remember how we got here. During the Vietnam War, we saw all of the films already. During the Vietnam War, the Hmong became entangled in a war that history calls the Secret War of Laos. When the war ended, those who fought to advance American military and political interests in the region did not find peace. Instead, we faced fear, persecution, and the crushing weight of, as we have seen, from small ethnic businesses to award-winning restaurants and huge real estate projects, we are determined to succeed and shape the economic landscape. Political engagement, as we have heard, from our very first elected official in 1991 to many, many others across the country, including, as we have seen tonight, our historical election of Representative Gala as this city's next mayor. She is a strategic leader who just happens to be a Hmong American woman. How great is that? And in terms of sports and other areas, Suni Lee, Megan Can, and others have shown the world that Hmong Americans too can be champions. And last but not least, in terms of identity, I think about this a lot. Despite the fact that we were dispersed all over the country, all over the world, we have preserved our heritage while creating new traditions. Hmong language and culture are now taught at many K-12 American schools and universities. So these are only a few examples of the progress we've made. Taking time to identify all of the different progress will take more than the 15 minutes that I have.
For a girl of Hmong women in our Hmong community, back in my days when I was young, we were looked down upon. Our parents does not see us as successful people. My dad, he yelled at me. He said, "You are a grown-up young girl. You should be working, doing other things instead of fighting to watch cartoon with your siblings." As a Hmong girl, if you're that lazy, there's not gonna be any Hmong man out there that's gonna carry a TV in front of you for you to watch. I told my dad today, "Dad, remember those words? I tell you today, I did not need a man to carry a TV in front of me, because I watch my own TV."
Talk about 50% of the Hmong judges are in the state of Minnesota. We have present, Judge, there it is, Judge Sophia Willow, and Judge Paul Yang. If you can just raise your hand. How you doing, bro? I don't see Judge Do Yang. So we have 4 judges at the state district level and the second judicial district. We have 2 judges at the state district level in California. Envision that the number of lawyers and judges will increase.
Judge Sophia Vu Lau is a pride for our community, not only because of her breaking barriers, but almost every year that she's been a judge, she has helped 6 people already to become a judge. So she's going to introduce our last speaker.
That you had the hardest job in the room. Let's give Dolly a huge round of applause, folks. Yo, good evening. First, I have to also say, my mother and father gave me my Hmong name. Actually, I should say my mother gave me my Hmong name. My father died before I was born. And so I want to honor him tonight very briefly. Neither of them are with me at this moment. They have both passed away. I also want to just take a very brief moment to honor all those of us who are children, who were raised by someone who lost a father or a mother. Please all rise. Shenju, if you lost our father or mother in the war, I want to honor you tonight because we all know the struggle is so much harder for us. Please rise if you were raised by a mother or father who passed away during the war. So I have the privilege of introducing the very final speaker. To do him justice, I have to share a quote. It is a Chinese proverb. Many of you have heard it. And the proverb is, "A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step." Tonight reminds me of the journey that our people have been on and continue to be on. I can't wait to see what the next 50 years for our community will look like. Back in the 1990s, I went to college with an individual. We were both rather naive, bright-eyed, and attended the University of Wisconsin at Madison. His name was Jay Cuvée. At that time, we were all kind of clueless, not quite sure what we wanted to do. Some of us thought maybe doctors. Some of us thought maybe law school. Some of us thought, well, I'll just be lucky if I graduated. However, this individual, Ku, he always knew what he wanted to do. His very first step to being the entrepreneur that he is today began when he was 18 years old. He always knew and understood the importance of lifting up our community and sustaining our future wealth, sustaining generations of young Hmong Americans to a place that would be elevated with prosperity. Really starts with financial stability, financial freedom, business, and entrepreneurial spirit. He has continued to live up to those goals and those ideals. He was that young, visionary person, creative person, even when he was that bit naive, but very goal-oriented, purposeful 18-year-old.
We have not only survived, but we are thriving, we are competing, but more importantly, we are positively contributing to this greater community. The only constant in life is change. Change is upon us again. We are at the precipice of the next technological shift. Artificial intelligence has the potential of impacting lives in a more profound ways than any other. Will bring about opportunities that we cannot fathom, but also add challenges that will test every fiber. It is critical that our preparation and our core value remains the same as it has been in the beginning and passed down to us for centuries. My mom passed away a number of years ago, and during the preparation of her funerals, we had gatherings at my brother's house. There was a gentleman that kept coming by, talking to us, helping us along. Never met the man before, never saw the man before, but he was there all the time. As we got closer to the funeral, and as the funeral started, I pulled him aside one day and I said, I really want to understand who are you and how are you related to us, or if you are related to us, and why is there such an interest in my mom's funeral? You see, my grandmother died before my dad was barely 2 years old, so we never knew my grandmother. And this gentleman who told me his name was he said, my grandmother and his father were brothers and sisters. In the Hmong relationship, the Hmong extended family, that means we call him Zi Nyahyong, which means father Nyahyong. The minute you add the word Zi or father to that name, the connections of generation came together. That is the strength. Luju the bitch could make Jamoya bake could dig and naked Jam. Luju no ya luju could chop in the get of the bemo they make. Luju no ya luju could beluno celebrate the beto Jam. Ya bemo yon yaw ke chico yon dande. Beju dog door bake could get dig and naked Jam go chicken. Họ từ bên bông bên cái tí cái này cái trang là để bên bông bên mông nè. As many of you travels, I don't know about you guys, but for me when I travel and I see a group of Asians, you can kind of tell if they're Hmong. You don't know how, but you can kind of tell if they're Hmong. And then when you hear them speak Hmong, even though we're from Minnesota, the largest concentrated Hmong in urban America, and we see Hmong and hear Hmong every day, when you hear them speak Hmong, there's a little flutter in your heart that says, oh, boy, Hmong. Yeah, okay? Our language and culture must be practiced and kept alive. If we cannot speak the language and do not practice the culture, then we become observers and we lose our connection. When we are no longer vested, then it is no longer important. We must keep the basics of our culture. They baby go chant the gadget more than that lamp that poor yeah. To do her the best I know. Your chin they bet that a poor go bill good no game. It will be modified. Our practices will be modified. Every generation and it is every generation's responsibility to modify it, but it must be kept. History has shown us that the fastest way to destroy a people is to eliminate the language and the culture, as conquerors have done to the conquered peoples throughout history. Everyone has talked about it here. In my life, I've had the pleasure of speaking to a number of people. And in one of the sessions in which I spoke to after the conversation, a young man came up to me and he said, "I want to be just like you." And I said, "Well, that's flattering, but what are you doing now?" And he says, "Well, I quit school, I got 2 years left in college, and I quit school." And I said to him, "To be like me, you gotta go back and finish school. Because we all need a base knowledge." A couple years later, his dad called me and thanked me because his son did go back and finish school. And then a couple years later after that, my daughter and son-in-law is building a house in Woodbury. We're sitting there in the room waiting for the pre-con meeting like Jeff and I do all the time. In walked this young man that a couple years earlier I said, "You gotta go back to school." Right? As a developer, that's where you start. He is on his way. We must encourage, in fact, we must demand and pursue education with vigor. If there is one thing that has propelled our community in the last 50 years, it is education. We have moved our community 300 years forward because education was made available to us. It is still the great equalizer for every community, especially ours. Even though the vast majority of our elders have no education, they realize how important it was and encouraged and pushed it. We must do the same for our children and younger generation if we are to stand a chance of continuing the Hmong community moving forward. I understand, in recent history, it has been celebrated that success is not defined by education. But I'd like to point out that the average IQ score for an average American is 100, which is probably most of us in this room. We hope. Every generation, there are those that are blessed to be above that. In this most recent generation, we have a lot of them. We have Bill Gates at 160, Mark Zuckerberg at 152, Elon Musk at 155, Jeff Bezos at 150. What I'm trying to say to everyone here is that most of us are not blessed at that level. So education is still the greatest equalizer that we must push forward. We must be proud to be Hmong. We must infuse our value, our core value in everything that we do. Everyone in our profile of Hmong success tonight enjoy the fruits of their hard work personally, but also adds to the success of the Hmong community as a whole. Mary, like Kali Van Her, ran to turn St. Paul around and thus benefiting the residents of St. Paul. But the morning after she won, the state of Minnesota and the country got a little bit of a glimpse into the Hmong community. And I'm sure that if you're Hmong, that morning after she won, we all held our heads just a little bit higher. We walked with just a little bit more purpose. Our elected officials, our entrepreneurs, celebrities, athletes, professionals, our SGU soldiers, our Hmong leaders, our Hmong neighbor down the street, Hmong students and our elders, we all have a part to play that will impact the Hmong narrative, both negative and positively. For everyone that is in a position of influence, every action that you do is a reflection on you personally and the Hmong community.